The Curse of Näcken. Long before the forests of Scandinavia were tamed, there was a small village nestled deep within the heart of a wild, untamed woodland. The villagers lived in harmony with the land, foraging from the trees and fishing from the many rivers that snaked through the thick green. But there was one river, wide and black as night, where the current was strong and unforgiving. It was said to be haunted, a place where even the most seasoned fishermen dared not cast their nets. They called it the Blackwater. At the heart of this tale of terror was a man named Jörgen, a humble musician who wandered from town to town, violin in hand. His melodies had the power to soothe even the wildest hearts, and his fame spread across the land. But Jörgen was a restless soul, driven by his thirst for perfection and his desire to compose the greatest song ever heard. One fateful night, while camping near the edge of the Blackwater, Jörgen heard a melody unlike anything he'd ever imagined. It drifted through the trees like a whisper, an ethereal song that sent shivers down his spine. Mesmerized, he followed the sound through the dark woods until he reached the riverbank. There, standing in the moonlit mist, was a figure, an old, decrepit man, thin as a skeleton, with hair like tangled reeds and eyes as cold as the river. The man smiled, revealing teeth that were yellowed and sharp. "Do you wish to learn the song?" he rasped, his voice as hollow as a gust of wind through dead trees. Jörgen, drunk on the haunting beauty of the melody, nodded without thinking. The man stepped closer, his bony fingers extended, and offered a violin carved from pale wood that seemed to pulse with an unnatural life. "Take it," the man said, "but know this, the price of this song is not one you can return from." Desperation clouded Jörgen's mind. He thought of nothing but the music, the fame, the glory that awaited him. Without hesitation, he accepted the violin. The moment his fingers touched the strings, the world around him grew colder. The trees seemed to twist, the shadows deepened, and the river let out a deep, mournful wail. Jörgen began to play, and, as he did, the music took control of him. The song was not one of joy, but of sorrow, of death, and of madness. His fingers bled from the strings as the melody swelled, filling the air with a ghostly wail that echoed across the water. The old man's smile twisted into something dark and cruel. "You are mine now," he hissed. "Näcken, the river spirit, bound to the Blackwater for eternity." In that moment, Jörgen's body transformed. His skin grew pale, his hair turned to reeds, and his eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. His violin, cursed, became an extension of his body, and he was bound to the river. Näcken was born, the spirit of the Blackwater, a creature of sorrow and malevolence. Years passed. The village had long forgotten Jörgen, but they could not forget the terror that had since taken hold of the river. Fishermen who ventured too close never returned. Children playing by the shore were lured into the depths by a beautiful, haunting melody, never to be seen again. Every night, the eerie strains of a violin echoed through the forest, filling the villagers with dread. Näcken, consumed by his cursed existence, grew bitter and vengeful. He no longer remembered the man he once was, only the pain of his eternal servitude to the Blackwater. The villagers spoke of him in fearful whispers, warning each other to stay far from the cursed river. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. One night, a group of young men, emboldened by drink and youthful arrogance, decided to test the legend. They believed the stories of Näcken to be mere superstition, tales meant to keep children in line. Armed with nothing but torches and laughter, they made their way to the Blackwater, determined to confront the ghostly figure. As they approached the riverbank, the air grew thick with mist, and the forest fell eerily silent. The only sound was the soft, haunting music of a violin drifting through the trees. The men paused, their laughter dying in their throats as the melody grew louder, more beautiful, and more terrifying. Then, from the mist, Näcken emerged. He stood at the edge of the river, his body dripping with black water, his hollow eyes fixed on the men. The violin in his hands played itself, a mournful dirge that wrapped itself around the men's minds, clouding their thoughts, dulling their senses. One by one, they dropped their torches and waded into the river, entranced by the music, unaware of the icy water creeping up their legs. Näcken watched, emotionless, as the men disappeared beneath the surface, their bodies swallowed by the Blackwater. As dawn broke, the villagers found the riverbank littered with the remains of the men's belongings, clothes, boots, and torches, but no bodies. Panic spread through the town like wildfire, and soon no one dared to approach the river. But it was too late. Näcken's hunger had grown. His song could no longer be contained by the Blackwater. It reached further, deeper into the village. One by one, people began to disappear. Children snatched from their beds, women pulled from their kitchens, men dragged screaming into the night. The haunting melody of the cursed violin filled the air day and night, a constant reminder of the creature lurking in the shadows. There was no escape. The villagers tried to flee, but the forest itself turned against them. Trees twisted into unnatural shapes. Paths that once led to safety now circled back toward the Blackwater. The town became a prison, trapped within Näcken's song. And then, silence. The village stood empty, its houses rotting, the streets overgrown with weeds. No one dared to enter the cursed forest, and no one dared to speak the name of Näcken for fear his song might reach them. But on quiet nights, when the moon is high and the wind is still, you can still hear it, a faint, mournful melody drifting from the depths of the Blackwater, carrying with it the sorrow of a man long lost to madness and the promise of death to anyone who listens. No one ever escaped. The curse of Näcken lives on, and it always will. The end.